Alright, hey guys, this is April 7th, Tuesday. So for Algebra 1, what we have today is lesson 10.6, box and whisker plots. And so if you look over here to my left, it actually gives you the illustration of what a box and whisker plot is. And so this in your packet is on page 369, but for right now, look up here. So basically, a box and whisker plot is called a box and whisker plot because you have a box, and then you have this thing that looks like the whiskers. And so you have, so you have the box here, and then you have the whisker coming out here, and then the whisker coming out there. And so, for example, you always are going to have 5 basic parts of the box and whisker plot. You're always going to have the minimum and the maximum, and then you're going to have the first quartile, which gives you at the edge of the box, reading left to right. The first quartile is here, at the left edge of the box. Then you have your median. Remember, your median is your middle, and so you have your median somewhere in the box. It doesn't have to be actually in the middle of the box, because the box is just going to give you the first quartile to third quartile, so the median's not always right in the middle. But the median represents the middle number for the whole set of data. And so the median is going to be the middle number for the set of data. And then you have the third quartile, which is the right edge of the box. And then you have your maximum on the far end. And so basically what happens is, if you want to know the range, this is your definition for range. So the range for a set of data is the biggest minus the smallest. Or in terms of this, it's going to be the maximum minus the minimum. And so the range is going to be the max minus the minimum. And so for the problem I have up here to the right, it would just be the 50 minus the 20. And so I would take 50 minus 20, and that tells me that my range would be 30 for this problem right here. And so the range would be 30. And so that's one skill. Now, the second skill, I need you to look in particular on page 370, 371. So what they're going to do is they're going to give you this long list of numbers. Again, this is going to be a little bit cumbersome, which means it's going to be a little bit maybe time consuming, or it's kind of boring because you're just going to be listing the numbers. And so the first thing you have to have with this, it has to do this, so you can't just take the easy way out. This is the only way you can do it. You have to take the list of numbers they give you and arrange them from least to greatest. You have to rank them, which means least to greatest. So if they give you the list of numbers all jumbled up, you have to take them and arrange them least to greatest. You can do it however you want. The easiest way is usually just to look and try to find the smallest one, then cross it out, find the next smallest one, cross it out, and just try to keep going through it until you get them all listed least to greatest, because you can't even begin working these problems until it's listed least to greatest. And so these I have written up on the board. I already wrote least to greatest just so we can skip a little bit of time with it. So if they're least to greatest, so that's step 1. Okay. Step 2 is going to be to find your middle number. And so to find your middle number, remember, if they give you a large set of number, the easiest way to find your median, your middle number, is going to be to actually count how many sets of data they are, add 1, and then divide by 2. I showed you all that last lesson just as a caveat. And so that's where we're really going to have to do this for this, because we're going to have to do it a couple times. And so what I'm going to do to find my middle number, I'm just going to count how many there are total. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 total. So I'm going to take 14, and then I'm going to add 1 and divide by 2. And so 14 plus 1 divided by 2 would give me 15 divided by 2, which would be 7.5. And what that tells me is the number I'm looking for is between the 7th and 8th number listed least to greatest. And so I'm just going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then there's 8. So I'm looking for this number right in there, which means I'm going to have to take those. Basically, if this comes out to be like 7, if that was the 7th number, then you would take the 48. If you get a half, then you have to take the average of the 7th and 8th number. And so for this problem, I'm going to take the average of the 48 and the 50. So for the median for this, I'm looking at the 7th and 8th number and averaging them. So I'm going to do 48 plus 50 and divide by 2. So 48 plus 50 divided by 2, that is going to be 98 divided by 2 tells me a median of 49. So my median equals 49. So that is my median. And so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the box and whisker plot for this data over here. And so I'm going to erase this, and I'm going to basically construct a box and whisker plot. So my median is 49. So I know my median right here is 49. So that's my median. Okay? Now my maximum is my biggest number. So 87 is my biggest number. So my 87 would come over here at my max. My minimum is my smallest number, which would be the 20. Okay? So that leaves the first quartile and the third quartile. So basically what happens whenever you divide, when you do this step right here, 14 plus 1 divided by 2, basically what that's going to do is it's going to leave you with, essentially you just have to understand how it creates. So if you look on page 371, it gives you the kind of definition that I'm going to walk through you with. So the bottom of page 371, in the box there, it says even number of values, which is what we had going on right here. So notice the median, you take the total number, add 1, and divide by 2. So for quartile 1, you're going to take so this is the median. For quartile 1, you're going to take this number that you got right here. You can make it the 7 instead of the 7.5. The 0.5 doesn't matter here. So notice on the problem in the book, they had 27.5 as their median, one to pick. So for the quartile 1, they changed that to 27, and then they do it again. So it'd be 27 plus 1. So for this one, it'd be 7 plus 1, and then divide by 2. So 8 divided by 2 would mean we're looking for the fourth one. So the fourth number would be the first quartile number you pick. So the first quartile number you pick would be 1, 2, 3, 4. That would represent your first quartile. So your first quartile. And I'm going to do another problem, just stay with me and get the general idea. So the first quartile would be the fourth one. And so then the third quartile basically takes those 3 and adds the 7 3 times. So it adds whatever this number was 3 times. And so here it was a 4, so the third quartile would be the 4 added 3 times. So in other words, the third quartile would be 4 plus 4 plus 4, which would be 12, which would be the 12th number. And so the 12th number would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and so it would be the 80. So that would be your third quartile. So third quartile. And so then you just fill it in on the chart. So the first quartile was 30. So this one right here on the left edge would be 30. And then the third quartile was 80. And so this would be, that edge right there would be 80. So that would be first. And then that would be third. And so that is how you're going to get your chart. And so going back to it, before we move on to one more like this. So the first thing you have to do is have your data listed least to greatest. Then your second step is to find, well really you can go ahead and find the min and max, because the min is just going to be the small one, so you just fill in the 20, and you can fill in the 87 as the max. Then your third step is to find the median. The median is the middle number, so to figure out which one's in the middle, you're just going to take how many of them there are. So in this case, there was 15 numbers, so you take 15 and you add 1 and divide by 2. So 15 plus 14 plus 1, divided by 2, would be 17.5. And so that tells you between the 7th and 8th number is going to be the median. And so between the 7th and 8th number is here, so you basically take the average of the 7th and 8th, so it's 48 and 50. So 48 plus 50 is divided by 2 gives you the 49, and so the 49 was your median. Now, to find the first quartile, basically you're going to take the number that you got here to find which one was the median, which number it was, and we had 7.5. So to find the first quartile, you're going to take this number. If it's a 0.51, you can just make it the actual 7 instead of the 7.5. So if it was 20, instead of doing 20.5, you would just make it a 20. So whatever this number is, then you do the 7 plus 1 divided by 2 again, and that tells you which number to choose for your first quarter. So 7 plus 1 divided by 2 is the fourth one, and so I'm going to choose the fourth one, and that will tell you the first quarter. And then to find the third quarter, it's just the 4 3 times, and so that would tell you where it is, and that would give you the 80. So that's how you fill it in. So I'm going to do one more like this, and then I'll leave it with it. So I'll just list some. Let's see. I'll just list them 22. 35. 42. 61, 70, 78, 85, 86, 91. So this is my list of data. They're already written least to greatest, so that's step 1, get them written least to greatest. Okay? Step 2 is I can go ahead and tell what the minimum and maximum is. So step 2 is to tell what the minimum and maximum is. And so this would be the minimum. So 22, I can go ahead and write in my box and whisker as my minimum. My maximum is 91, so I can go ahead and write 91 as my maximum. Okay? Then to find the median, what I'm going to do is see how many actual numbers there are. So to find the median, I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So to find the median, I say that there are 11 of them. So I add 1 and divide by 2. So that's 12 divided by 2, which gives me 6. So in other words, the 6th number, when it's written least to greatest, will be my median. So this one I had an odd number, so I'll have only one middle number, so I won't have to do the average of it. So for this one, to find the median, it's the 6th one, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 61 is my median. So 61 is my median. So I can go ahead and put that in my box and whisker plot. So 61 is the median. Okay? So to find the first quartile, if you just want to follow along on page 371 of the box, for the first quartile, basically you take whatever you got here, then you're going to add 1 and divide by 2. So add 1 and divide by 2. In other words, you're going to wind up being at the, or really just divide by 2 for this one. So you're going to look at your third. So your third one, so for your first quartile, you're going to take this and divide by 2. So it equals third. So that'll tell you your first quartile. So 1, 2, 3. So 35 is your first. So then 35 comes over here into this blank as your first quartile. Then to find your third quartile, basically you just take this number and then add it 3 times. And so for your third quartile, basically we're just doing 3 times. And so you would get 9. It'd be your ninth. And so your ninth would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it'd be 85 would be your one you're looking at. And then that gives you the box and whisker plot. So it's pretty straightforward. The biggest thing is you find your median, and then you can work back to get your first and your third quartile. So you find your median, and then you can use this divided by 2 to get your first quartile, and then basically take your first quartile and add it 3 times to get your third quartile. And so that's the pattern. Again, you have it detailed really clearly in that box on page 341 there towards the bottom of the page. It says even number of values, and then it says odd numbers of values. And so that is how you're going to do that. So that gives you the box and whisker plot. Now, the only other thing to do is you just have to be able to identify like what you're actually looking at. So what happens is, for the box and whisker plot, these are called the 5-number sequence. The 5-number sequence is just the numbers for the minimum, first quarter, third quartile, maximum. So 25, 35, 61, 85, 91 is the 5-number summary sequence, basically. And so if they just want the 5-number summary sequence without the actual box plot, you just list these in order. So it would just be 22, 35, 61, 85, 91 would be the 5-number summary. And so the first number just represents the minimum, the second number represents the first quarter, the middle number represents the median, then the 85 here will represent the third quarter, and then the 91 will represent the max. And so some questions, they'll ask you to take this information and just give you the 5-number sequence. And then some questions, they'll give you this information and actually ask you to give the box plot. And so it just depends on what they're asking you for. But the work stays the same. And so that's pretty much what it is. Now, one thing to point out to you is look on page 373. 373 deals with skewness. And so basically what happens is, if you look on page 373, it says right skewed distribution. So notice on 373, on right skewed distribution, notice when they give you the bar graph there, notice that you have more of them happening towards the left, to the right here. And so what happens is it's going to be skewed that direction. And then if you look at the left skewed distribution, you can notice how basically the median in the box, notice how for right skewed distribution, notice how there's a longer line there on this right edge. So notice how this line is bigger than the one on the left for the right skewed. And then for the left skewed, notice how the left side of it is bigger. Basically all that is telling you is that there's more numbers on that side, so it's not like the same amount on each side and the same amount here and the same amount to the middle. Basically you're skewed, which means you're loaded more on one direction than the other. And so the last skill there is just being able to identify if it's left skewed, right skewed, or balanced. And so a balanced is just going to be where the numbers basically balance each other out. And so it's pretty straight. A left skewed is where there's going to be more towards the left. It's going to be skewed further left. And then the right skewed is going to be where it's skewed further right. So that's pretty straightforward there. And so that should get y'all started. And so homework here is 1 through 6 on page 374. Now again, on number 1, it looks like we already have them listed least to greatest, so you can just go straight in. Number 2 looks like it's the same way. Number 3, it looks like they did that for you, I think. And so once they're listed least to greatest, again, you're just finding the middle number, figure out which one's the middle by just doing the total number plus 1 divided by 2, and that'll tell you which number to pick. And then to find the first quarter, you take the middle one and divide it by 2, and then that'll give you which one to pick for the first quarter. In the third quarter, you take the first quarter and do it 3 times, and that'll tell you which one to pick. And then just throw them in the box and whisker. So if you have any questions, get with me, but that's basically the lesson. So hope y'all have a good day.